Hey folks, Critical Thinker, June 15th, 2018, just bringing you continued reports on child trafficking. Let's get right into it. Child sex trafficking, fastest growing crime as Secret Service agent and teacher arrested in a massive sting. And I don't know how many times I've stated this when I cover pedophilia and child trafficking. You know, predators have a tendency to have professions that keep them around children: teachers, coaches, clergy, law enforcement, etc. Patterns. There are patterns to these predators. So let's just, DC. The DOJ announced the arrest of more than 2,300 suspected child sex offenders, including a member of the Secret Service, and identified nearly 400 abused children during the 3-month operation that ended in May. Of those arrested, 195 were suspected of producing child porn or committing child sexual abuse. Attorney Jeff Sessions stated that no child should ever have to endure sexual abuse. And yet, in recent years, he continues, certain forms of modern technology have facilitated the spread of child porn and created greater incentives for its production. The operation, dubbed Broken Heart, was conducted by Internet Crimes Against Children task forces operating in all 50 states across and involved more than 4,500 federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies. Operation Broken Heart, which is funded through the Justice Department's Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, has been an annual law enforcement operation since its inception in 2014. It is estimated that at least 100,000 children are bought and sold for sex in the United States every year, with as many as 300,000 children in danger of being trafficked each year. Some of these children are forcefully abducted, others are runaways, and still others are sold into the system by relatives and acquaintances. This according to the Rutherford Institute. A previous iteration of this operation, called Broken Heart 3, ran from April to May 2016 and netted over 1,000 suspected child sexual predators nationwide. Contrary to the stereotype of a recluse, pedophiles live in their mother's basement. Contrary to the stereotype of pedophiles being reclusive and living in their mother's basements, the arrests instead involved numerous high-profile figures within society. At the time, John Reynolds, acting special agent in charge for the Department of Homeland Security investigation, said that among those arrested were entertainers, community leaders, white-collar professionals, and clergy members. The latest operation, according to local media reports, saw a Secret Service employee residing in Maryland arrested as part of the investigation. Andrew Lund, a fourth-grade teacher and school supervisor at Glen Cove Elementary School in Vallejo, California. As Mike Cernovich pointed out, there is no coverage. So here is the Department, the DOJ's PR release. All right, Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. And as Cernovich pointed out, no coverage from Criminal News Network, The Times, The Post, the Bill Gates Network. That's complicit. While the mainstream media and their establishment Praetorian guards, such as Snopes, George Soros, often attempt to hide the ugly reality of rampant pedophilia, especially when potentially connected to the societal power elite, this publication has consistently tried to shine a light on the insidious epidemic. Some examples of this include the high-profile pedophilia scandal that gripped the UK before being unceremoniously swept under the rug. In that case, historical abuse by politically connected elites, celebrities, and politicians was brought to light, with an official inquiry being started only to have the inquiry crumble after heavy pressure was exerted by highly placed power brokers within the UK establishment. Ironically, this was almost the exact same scenario as what took place in the United States in what became known as the Franklin child sex ring cover-up. Once the feds took over the investigation from state authorities, it turned into a witch hunt to persecute the child victims. going so far as to charge them with perjury in a successful attempt to scare the other 70-plus victims to recant their testimony regarding the child sex ring. The Franklin cover-up, when I read that, I was blown away. That was the very first, I read that 20-plus years ago. And that's a very difficult book to get through. It goes into quite some extensive detail. And it's not a fun read, but if you want to be a researcher in this, you're just going to have to expose yourself to it. John DeCamp should have a Nobel Peace Prize. He was the one who wrote the Franklin cover-up. So, while establishment propagandists like Snopes would have you believe these cases are conspiracy theories, the reality is that groups like Snopes, deliberately or not, and quite frankly, I don't like that. Because you know it's deliberate, but I guess that's a little CYA statement on their part, so as to not get a lawsuit for libel. Publications like Snopes are simply running interference for the politically connected power elite. Well, one of the primary politically connected power elite owns and finances Snopes, so what else would you expect? Anyway, that's all I have for now. Have a good weekend.